May the force be with you is a phrase used to wish a person well to overcome a challenge. The invitation in this podcast, May the life force be with you, is to explore what it means to truly feel alive, to appreciate the physical, emotional and spiritual connection to our energy, and finally to understand how this impacts who you are and all that you do. May this conversation inspire you to thrive. This episode of May the Life Force Be With You is brought to you by Moment Company and the Moment Pebble. The Moment Pebble is a beautiful, natural stone, light-guided breathing device and is a unique gift for someone who needs that gentle reminder to stop and take a break, to take moments throughout their busy day and to practice mindfulness. Just head over to momentcompany.co, that's momentcompany.co, and enter the code LIFEFORCE at checkout to receive an exclusive 10% podcast discount. Welcome to the latest episode of May the Life Force Be With You. I'm Fiona.
And I'm Kahreela.
And for those of you that are new to our podcast, we talk about life force energy and what that means to us in any given moment. And we invite guests along to share with them what drives, motivates, inspires their life force. And quite often it's connected very much to their work. That's certainly the people that we have spoken to today. And it's always a journey. We never know what anyone's going to talk about when they show up, even when we know what their bio is. Quite often, we don't know what we're going to talk about when we jump and press record. And we let the conversation unfold as it needs to. And whatever, I guess, we are drawn to put into the space at that time.
Yeah, we let the life force flow.
And, you know, on reflection, it's taken us to some really interesting and I would say deeply vulnerable and personal places. I'm not sure when we set out on this journey, Kahreela, that I imagined I'd be talking about the things that I have on here.
No, I still can't believe I do.
Lie. To be quiet.
You're such a good listener, Fee. Like, you're such a good space holder and coach that, like, you just have this way of, like, making me open up and vomit out.
Well, I know we do talk about vomiting quite a bit on this and purging. So just to be clear to anyone listening, I'm not actually making Kahreela vomit. No. But maybe this is an opportunity, I don't know, to talk about what we actually do maybe and how we bring life force into our work and our lives, and maybe a reflection on some of the things that have inspired us over the last 6 months from these conversations and how that has affected what we do.
Yeah, I'd love to hear how it's affected you and what you do.
I can hear the seagulls in the background of your...
You missing Brighton?
I'm not missing Brighton because it's the middle of winter and I'm in sunny Australia. That's probably the biggest impact to my life force energy in the last 6 months is managing time zones and how much you realize when you are on the other end of the world, you're meeting people at a very different point in their life force of the day. I'm a morning person. And so sometimes talking with the UK in the evening, you almost have to, I feel like I'm a different person morning to evening and have to kind of adjust accordingly. But what I have through that been very consciously aware of is active rest, active recovery, and really kind of tuning into when I can feel that my life force needs topped up. And not just saying I'm tired, but I actually consciously do something in that moment that I know will give me more energy. Active rest. That's been my lesson.
How do you actively rest?
So, example, today I might have a disco nap. So, little 23-minute optimal lie down, shut my eyes, set a timer. I might do a meditation. either transcendental, or I might do a binaural beat, hertz frequency in the background type meditation. I might do a quick workout, or this evening I took the dog for a walk. Get out in nature is a good active rest moment. I sometimes read a book. So your mind is kind of not churning away at the thought of doing the thing that you need to do next, but you're kind of giving yourself permission to check out. Sometimes I put on music or listen to a podcast. I mean, the life force be with you, number one, obviously.
Very energizing active rest.
But just something that takes me away from thinking about the to-do list, the get-to-do list, or, if I'm feeling stress in the body, then having a somatic experience can be hugely transformative in that it can shift energy very quickly. So they're all ideas for active rest that I incorporate into my day when I know I've got an early start and a late finish because of time zone pressures.
I think that's really good advice. And it's really amazing to me that you're talking about rest, because I feel like this week I've had quite a big journey with rest. And one of the things that I looked up the root meaning of the word purpose.
Ooh.
And in the word purpose is rest. Like in the root word of your true purpose comes from when you're resting. How cool is that?
Ooh, unpack that for me.
So basically, I'm on this I'm turning 40, and I keep getting guidance that the next chapter, in fact, the channel that was channeling for me was like, it's not a chapter, it's a whole new book. And the whole new book is like joy first and self first, not purpose first. Or not like the service has to now follow your joy, basically. So I'm having this rewiring out of the part of me that's quite comfortable just serving and working. Do you know what I mean?
So joy first before purpose.
Yeah. And
what is joy
kind of trust. Well, what I'm realizing is that the part of me that it starts with rest. Like when I rest, I then have more energy for joy. It's like if I'm just, working, then there's no supply for
space.
Joy. It's like, yeah. And so I've been doing quite a lot of practices like yin and stuff to help me rest. And one of the really interesting things that happened, I was doing a yin class on Sunday, and the teacher who I actually want to get on their show, she said, "Can you feel empty and full at the same time?" Or something along those lines. It was yin. So I was, and when I was tuning in about if that was possible, I was suddenly like, that's magnetism. It was like this awakening of me that I was like, oh, to have your magnetic body, your magnetic body is empty and full at the same time. It's like the empty space that's full of life force energy, it's, and then I was like, I don't create enough space in my life for my magnetic body to be creating. So my way of creating is very do, purpose, masculine, patriarchal. There's big habit in my feminine to serve and collapse the magnetic body. And so I'm now oh, okay, I get it. I've got to start cultivating my magnetic body. And I think
And
you
what
can
do you
only
mean
do
by
that.
magnetic body? What do you mean by that? Your
I think
subconscious?
I think your magnetic
Vibe?
body is,
Is it your vibe? Like, what is it? Can you put a phrase, a word to it that people
I think,
can kind of connect to?
I think there's two ways you can create. You can create by doing and by
Mhm.
actioning, and then you can create by magnetizing and receiving.
I was going to say receiving. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, but I realized in that moment that like I have this, I do so much doing that and not enough of cultivating my magnetic body so that my magnetic body actually collapses, and then I'm overworking, like then I'm creating through pushing rather than just letting the universe bring it to me. Or does that make sense?
So when you speak, or when you talked about that, I had this image in my mind of you being a big magnet. And so when it's flipped round the wrong way and you're only giving, then
Yeah.
then almost there's like a force field that's going out. You need to flip it sometimes the other way so you can draw people in and receive. And
Yeah.
if you flipped it the other way and you're just pushing out, then of course no one's going to come to you. Of course these things aren't going to flow easily because the magnet's repelling. This is in my crazy mind what I saw when you were saying
No,
this,
no,
but
no. I feel like you're giving me a coaching session. Really cool.
I just feel like if you imagine flipping that and you allow the energy to be one of receiving, then immediately it feels open.
Yeah.
And immediately there's it's an invitation for things to come to you rather than you having to go and drag them in against a force field that's pushing in the opposite direction. And I feel like sometimes we talked about this in the kind of love episodes as well, is that you can't just give.
Yeah.
It's a two-way thing. And most things in life are a two-way thing. There's a polar opposite, there's a yin and a yang, there's a and so that balance between giving and receiving is where we top up our life force energy. We need more rest when we have that out of balance and we feel it. And sometimes maybe the question when we feel like we need rest or we feel out of kilter or something's not quite right there, the question is, do I need to receive more in this moment or do I need to give more? And
Yeah.
maybe
I mean,
that's where that striking of the balance can come
and
in.
I'm kind of thinking of you, like when you're saying like, working in the evening, it's like the evening is the time that we normally are winding down into rest. So the energy level is different. But the beautiful thing is that if you micro rest, or I love your phrase, disco rest, then it's like, then it's like, I think what's coming through this conversation for me is I used to have a problem with rest because I used to associate it with nothing.
Or wasting time.
Yeah, or like just no thing. Like, and I used to associate it with collapse. And what I'm
Mm.
realizing is that there is actually
It's
like
dynamic.
space and rest have energy. It's like when you truly rest, you're connecting to the energy in the space. You're connecting to the life force of the space, which, the life force of the great space is the life force of the universe. You are like plugging into the life force source, of the cosmos. And so, that how you do that is by being in the space, is by participating in the space, is by resting in the deep space. And that's where you charge your magnetic receiving body, and like for me it's just this revolution of like, oh, space is not nothing, there's actually energy in it, like there's actually energy that exists within it. And then energy that I can tap into and receive and I need.
And interestingly, in like the work I do and my personally felt experience is it's not about letting those things go to extremes, right? When we get so far depleted and we don't listen to those rest signals and we're just giving, for whatever reason that lies behind that, then that's when you get burnout. That's when you get the extremes. That's when it's not possible to just rest and be okay. There needs to be stronger, deeper interventions, and a walk with the dog won't solve those. What I really am conscious of and hopefully promote is that it's those micro moments of consciousness and awareness that are actually rest in themselves. So that tiny micro pause of awareness, stop, pause, think, choose, move forward, those little moments are in themselves little space creators. And by doing that, by stopping, not reacting to something, by being mindful within your day, even when you're dynamically doing something, that just micro pause is enough to kind of reset your nervous system, reset your brain, and in that have that pause that kind of tops up your life force throughout the day, which is why it's not about big gestures. It's not about, 10 days in a retreat and sleeping. It's about how can you, little, often, and over time, ensure that your life force is topped up throughout the day.
And therefore your magnetic body, which means that you're not just, it means that you're co-creating, I guess.
Yeah,
if
you're emitting at the same time.
Yeah,
Say you're speaking.
You're being supported, not just having to self-create in a way, you know? And if somebody wanted to do a micro pause, how do they do it?
Take a breath. Good old fashioned, take a breath. It literally is sigh breath is enough to just go, okay, hang on a sec. To have a state change. Because in that breath you're acknowledging something didn't feel right. I want to make a decision here. I just want to take a minute before I decide what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do, but it's your body's natural defense to those stressful moments. Is that how often do we do it involuntary? When you start to do it consciously, you realize that you are creating that mindful space. But it's also just thinking, I'm going to drink my glass of water and I'm going to really think about drinking this glass of water. It's when I get up in the morning, I'm going to feel my feet as they touch the carpet, the rug, the floor. And you just even brush your teeth. I'm just going to stand here and feel the sensation of brushing my teeth. It's about mindfully being aware and connected in the moment without distraction or judgment. Just be for that microsecond.
Being present.
Yeah.
And, one of the things that, because like I said, my magnetic body collapses as part of the wound work I've been doing. It's like my feminine line has this habit of just collapsing, and so, and then just being in service and in service and in service, and I'm like trying to reorientate that within my own feminine energy. And one of the things that I realized I had to do was also be present. I feel like with rest, I don't know if you've done this, but like I can very easily like put time aside to rest and then just scroll. Like just not rest. Do you know what I mean? Like just be distracted in rest. Yeah. And what I've realized is like I have to really catch that and be like, that you texting your friends is not just because you're lying on the sofa doing it. That is not you being present with the space. And if you want to stabilize your magnetic body, if you want to be empty and full at the same time and receptive, and then you have to also have that presence with the space. Otherwise there's no energy exchange between the life force of the universe and your magnetic body. Do you know what I mean? It's like I'm like, oh, I have to learn how to like be that present and mindful in rest.
Mm-hmm. Because when you're scrolling, you are still stimulating your vagus nerve. You are stimulating your system. You are nothing about that is rest. In fact, one can argue that it's actually overstimulating your brain. Your immune system is still being triggered because, let's face it, when you scroll, it doesn't tend to be good news, does it? And then once you get deep into the phone, you're then looking at other things. You just get lost in that world, but it is absolutely 100% not a moment of rest. Anyone that has their notifications on their phone, please switch them off. Please switch them off. Turn your notifications off. That sound is shooting your system with cortisol and your stress hormones every time it pings. Not only that, but you are increasing the stress levels of everyone around you when it pings as well, because we all have the same reaction to that noise. Oh, what am I missing out on? Must pick up my phone. Maybe it was my phone, even though I've got it switched off. And everybody, you see it happen on a train carriage, everybody picks up their phone when that ding goes off. It is shocking your system all day long. It is death by paper cuts. Please switch it off. Okay, run over. So anyway, you had a phone-free day yesterday.
Yeah, it was amazing. Because I'm having this revolution with rest, my magnetic body, I was like, and I've done it before. It was amazing. It was like, I was like, I went to bed and I was like, I am turning my phone off. And I basically had a screen-free day as well. I did have a session with one person that was about me receiving, so I was on the screen. But otherwise, I was off. It was like there was a part of my system that was just so relieved. It's like we're on call all the time when our phone is on. It's like you're on call. And I noticed that throughout the day, my nervous system was just going, like it was like dropping, and also it freed up so much time.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't realize how much time you're interacting with those screens. And I think that, like, for me anyway, I am somebody that sometimes associates space with loneliness, and so my go-to is the phone. Do you see what I mean? Like, I feel like social media, phone, everything like that is our way of trying to get to community. That's why we're quite addicted to it, and trying to have contact when we're feeling a bit lonely or isolated. And so it really allowed me to sit with myself. And to sit with myself in space. And, I don't do it enough, but every time I've done it, I'm like, I need to do this once a week, man. Like, we should all be disconnecting from our screens,
I'm of the age which freaks out anybody under the age of 30, but I didn't grow up with phones. Yeah. There's, we didn't do any, and we only had 3 channels on the TV until I was about 12. So, we've gone through millennial not having phones to distract us, and it's quite scary how uncomfortable we are with finding ways to be anymore.
Yeah, it's like the phone
that you have doing.
It's like the phone and the screen has like taken away the art of being.
Yeah.
I remember another somebody else I want to get on the show, another amazing teacher, was saying that on something. She was talking about like that with her child. When her child says, "I'm bored," she's like, "Good. Sometimes life is boring."
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, like, you know, we've kind of got into this like overstimulated way of being, like that we're meant to be entertained all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, maybe we don't. Maybe sometimes life is meant to be spacious and you know, like, or maybe if you look into the boring, what's there? You know, like maybe you find something there. That's what's happening to me. This thing that I was kind of dismissing as nothingness, I'm actually finding there's quite a lot in there. You know.
Well, it's interesting when you ask me about how can people kind of, you know, rest their nervous system, be more mindful, be more present. I didn't mention picking up your phone, scrolling, getting on social media. Didn't even say call someone. Or you know, it was all away from connected devices because they are a major source of today's stress. And so, yes, I've said it before, technology obviously has its place, and it's wonderful that it can connect us right here, right now, on opposite sides of the world, and we can record this. But life is beautiful outside of a screen.
You know, you were saying about like the beeping activating the nervous system. Like, do you have science behind that? Do you have where's the rant coming from?
Yeah, so there's lots of different articles out there. You just have to, you know, go on your phone and take a quick look. There's scientific evidence around you know, notifications and the immune system that gets triggered by having that constant on activation. It's also been proven that it takes 23 minutes, even from just picking up your phone, even if you don't switch it on, it distracts you for that long.
For 23 minutes.
Yeah, before your mind can then actively be present. Not only that, you don't even have, as I say, you don't even have to have it switched on. So if you've got it sitting on a table, sitting on your desk when you're working, it's mere presence distracts you. So I usually put my phone in a drawer, shut it away when I want to get some like deep work or thinking done, because it's there as a, you know, it's almost got a life force of its own, just tickling the back of your brain going, come on then, look at me. And it's deliberately designed to be tactile. So we're addicted to the sensation of the screens and the sense of touch, because our fingertips are our most sensitive parts, or one of the most sensitive parts of our body. So it feels nice when we touch it, and that's what encourages us to keep picking it up all the time. It's been scientifically created to make it
appealing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's disturbing to me that, you know, we're now growing up in a world where I see babies being given phones to entertain them or to soothe them. You know, it's crazy times we're living in. And I do think there's a soothing in distraction, but it's not a deep regulation. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's like it will maybe stop you feeling what you need to be feeling. But the point is like, if you feel the thing fully, then you regulate. Do you see what I mean? It's like stopping the regulation of our systems, our emotions, our processes. I love that you put it away in the drawer. I might try that. I can't believe that it has that much of a force that you're even aware of it on the table. But like as I'm talking to you, I'm like, I know where my phone is in the room. Do you see what I mean?
Like signal also, like, I mean, two things. You imagine how many times you pick up your phone throughout the day, and if it takes you 23 minutes to re-engage every time you pick it up, that's a lot of freaking time that you're not present, right? It's a lot
That
of
is a
time.
lot of time.
I'm guilty as the next person, so I'm not by no way, shape, or form saying I'm perfect at this, but I need to get better because I am aware of it. So you think about how much time you're hemorrhaging if every time you pick it up you're losing 23 minutes. But also just think about just my invitation to end on here, because I've got to go to bed. My invitation here, if we think about that distraction time, and you think about the fact that even having it next to you can not allow your brain to be fully focused and present, what signal are we giving to each other if we put our phones on the table when we connect, or we get our phones out of our pocket or get them out of our bag, and the first thing we do when we see someone is we put our phone down, almost as a barrier between us? When you look around next time you're in a cafe or a restaurant, and see how many tables have the phones almost as a barrier between the two people. It is disconnecting us in a moment of true connection.
And yet the reason we're going on our phones is we want connection. Like, exactly. the thing you were saying about the fingertips, that's touch. Like all we really want, like all our nervous systems actually want is to be held and seen and heard and connected and in community. Like we're going on social media because we want to socialize. Like it is like, I'm so sure that's the reason, because I know that whenever I'm in a group, like if I'm journeying, I've got a big group of people, it's amazing. Day one, everybody's on their phone. Day two, the phones start to go away. By the end of the trip, everybody's like, haven't taken any photos, because if you're in tribe, you stop needing to seek tribe through your phone. And I think it's just about remembering that, like, if somebody is there, if a real human being that can play with your fingertips and talk to you and listen to you, and you can listen to them, if they are there, you do not put your phone far away from that. I love it. Put your phone in the drawer.
Next time you go out, just start small. Just don't put your phone on the table.
Just leave it in your bag.
Just keep it in your bag. Keep it in your pocket. It doesn't need to be on the table, because what you're signaling to the other person is that you're not important. So just try it. Just try as a test of being in the moment and being present.
And when you're by yourself, put your phone in the drawer. Because you don't want to signal to yourself that you are not important.
There you go. Yeah. Thank you for allowing me to get one of my pet subjects off my chest. I didn't know if that was going to come up. As we said at the beginning, we let the energy flow, but I feel that was an important message. I feel quite strongly about that now. I'm going off to do more research about phones.
That was absolutely so important. I felt the impact of it. Thank you so much for sharing it. And you have inspired me to take more presence moments, to rest more, and to put my phone in the drawer.
That's simple. Life-changing. So thank you, Kahreela. Thank you for this conversation, and we'll see you next time.
May the life force be with you. We hope this conversation has topped up your life force energy. If it has, then please help us spread the life force. Like, share, subscribe, all of that. And may the life force be with all of us.